Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to you on our weekly sessions on Bhagavad Gita as it is. So today we would start a new chapter, chapter number 8, which is titled Attaining the Supreme, Lord Krishna. So verse number 1. Arjuna Vacha Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam adhidevam kim uchyate. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are fruitive activities? What is material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain to me. So, in this verse and the next, Arjuna ji would ask few questions to Lord Krishna. So, Lord Krishna had already briefly touched upon these subjects in the previous chapter, at the end of the previous chapter also, and again Arjuna ji is asking these questions on behalf of us so that these questions are become clear to us. And here is the another question, or the second verse which he speaks. Adhiyagya katham kotra dehasmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham yeyosi nitya atmabhi. Who is the Lord of sacrifice and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? So here the word, or here Arjuna had called Lord Krishna as Madhusudana. So this usage of this word Madhusudana is important here, because Madhusudana means the killer of the demon Madhu. And why Arjuna is calling out the name of Madhusudana is because these doubts, these questions which are arising, or which arises in our minds, is compared to demons. Because if we have these questions around who is the Supreme Lord and what is his existence in our body, and how we can realize him at the point of our death, so all these questions are like demons, and thus he is addressing Lord Krishna as Madhusudana because he wants the killer of demon Madhu to slay all these doubts which arise in our minds. So Arjuna ji is not asking these questions for himself. Because he is a devotee of Lord Krishna, which Lord Krishna has himself proclaimed him to be a devotee of his. So he is asking all these questions on behalf of us. Krishna would start answering his questions. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Sabhavo Adhyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhava Karo Visarga Karma Samgyata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, The indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entity is called karma or fruitive activities. So here to elaborate on what Lord Krishna has said, Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada had given a detailed explanation of what is the self and what is the karma. So the self or the eternal characteristics of a living being is that he is serving the Supreme in the mood of devotional service. So every soul is serving Lord Krishna in one relationship or the other eternally in the spiritual universe. But when the souls are trapped in a material consciousness that they are not subservient to the Supreme, they are supreme themselves, then they are trapped. When they are trapped in this kind of consciousness, then they are kindly sent to this material universe so that they can realize the truth. And while taking residence in this material universe, they have to accept various bodies and they have to act in the consciousness of oneself being the Supreme. So to give an example, every living being is thinking in this universe is thinking that I am the master of whatever is in my view. So someone might act as a master of his family, someone might act as a master of the community, someone might act as the master of the nation, and he would try to control as much as possible, try to manipulate the things as much as possible. But we all can understand that even after many of our desperate efforts, things don't happen the way we wanted it to be. So that means there is a supreme controller, or there is a supreme approver on whose behalf everything is happening. So when we act in this consciousness, whatever activities we perform within this material universe, they are termed as karma. And one has to take or the soul has to transmigrate from one body to another through the 84 lakh species because of this material consciousness, or till the point in time when he doesn't realizes that his actual characteristic is to serve Lord Krishna or serve the Supreme. Till that point of time he has to stay within this material universe and has to perform karma. So which are fruitive activities, which means whatever action we do, there would be a subsequent reaction to that. So here Lord Krishna answers about what is Brahman and what is his one self and what is karma. Verse number 4. Adhibhutam sharo bhava purushascha adhidevatam adhiyagyo aham evatra dehe deha vritam vara. O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called Adhibhuta, the material manifestation, or the manifestation or the part of the material universe we see all around us is Adhibhuta. Then the universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods like those of the sun and the moon, is called Adhideva. So we would see or we would hear about the universal form of Lord in the subsequent chapters, where Arjuna ji requests Lord to show him the universal form. So we would know more about details of what the universal form of Lord is. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the Super Soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adhiyagya. So Lord Krishna here briefly talks about what is Adhibhuta, what is Adhideva, and what is Adhiyagya, which was also one of the questions of Arjuna. Now, one thing which is worth emphasizing here is Lord Krishna says, Adhiyagya aham evatra deha bhritam vara. So, which means that I, or Lord Krishna, because Lord Krishna is saying so. So, Lord Krishna says that he is the super soul who is residing in every living being's body. So, generally we don't have a conception of who the super soul is or who is the Paramatma. We Indians have a notion that there is a Paramatma within the body, but we don't know who he is. So here Lord Krishna explicitly says that Adhiyagya eva, which means Lord Krishna himself is in the form of Paramatma residing in everyone's body. And also in certain Upanishads it's mentioned that how Lord Krishna in the form of Paramatma is residing in every living being's body, and he is noticing each and every action, each and every motive, each and every desire of every living being. So in this way we may do something in very secretly, hoping that no one has taken notice of it, but Lord Krishna in the form of Paramatma is visible, is always keeping track of whatever we do. So Lord Krishna in the form of Paramatma is the Adhiyagya, or the Lord of the sacrifice. Verse number 5. Antakale cha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra samshaya. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So now Lord Krishna makes a very important point here, that whoever is remembering Lord Krishna at the point of his or her death would attain Lord Krishna's association, would reach Lord Krishna's abode. Now, Smaran Muktva Kalevaram. So this is again an important thing to notice here, that to remember Lord Krishna at the point of quitting the body is something which is possible only if one has practiced remembering Lord Krishna throughout his life, remembering Lord Krishna's pastimes throughout his life. Because when someone is leaving the body, there would be a great distress, both mental as well as physical. So at the point of leaving the body, someone might have some disease, or someone might have weakness of the body because of the advanced age. So there would be physical distresses, plus there would be the distress of leaving one's relatives, leaving one's kith and kin. So amidst all this physical and mental distress, to focus oneself on Lord Krishna would only be possible if we have made that practice of remembering Krishna, or taking association of his pastimes, or chanting the names of Lord Krishna. Only when we are in constant touch with Lord Krishna, that would make it possible that one is able to remember Lord Krishna at the point of leaving this body. So this is an important point to consider in this verse. यम यम वापि स्मरन् भावं त्यजति अन्ते कलेवरं तं तं एवैति कौन्तेय सदा तद्भाव भाविता. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So again, Lord Krishna mentions here that if one remembers if someone has been totally engrossed in thinking about some materialistic desires or desire or any other kind of desire, then he would have to take a body to fulfill that wish, which means that he would again have to spend another lifetime, at least one another lifetime, to go through all the challenges of this material world, which includes birth, which includes growing up, challenges of growing up, then diseases throughout the growing up, and then old age, and so on. And then just to fulfill a materialistic desire which may or may not come to pass in the next life, which means another life. And in this way this would go on and on and on until and unless we take full shelter of Lord Krishna, which is the only hope. So we should always try to keep association of Lord Krishna, I mean by hearing his pastimes regularly, by taking association of the devotees who have dedicated their life to singing the glories of Lord Krishna. And the easiest way of this yuga is to chant the names of Lord Krishna, because at any point of time, at any state of throughout the day, you can chant the names of Lord Krishna, and that is what would assure you that you don't take another birth in this material universe. So because of the perilous nature of taking birth in this material universe again and again, Lord Krishna is again imploring Arjuna of thinking of him. So here he says, Tasmad sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya cha mai arpita manu buddhir mam eva eshyasi asamshaya. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So, a couple of things which are worth noticing here is that Lord Krishna is not saying that you should relinquish all your duties. Rather, you perform your duties, and while performing your duties you remember me, and whatever activities or duties you are doing, you are dedicate to me, which means either directly you do something, or your profession is linked to the service of Lord, or if it is not, then you contribute something to the cause of either educating the people directly, or you help those who are taking part in this preaching mission. So in this way your activities would be dedicated, and rest of your time you can chant the names of Lord, you can hear about the pastimes of Lord, and so on. So in this way, dedicating one's mind and intelligence Lord Krishna is the surest way. Also, the another thing is that Lord Krishna is instructing Arjuna to remember him even during a battle. So a battle is such an intense situation where it's always life and death is always hanging, and even at that point of time, Lord Krishna is saying that you should fight, but you should remember me. So it is so we can take advice from this particular aspect, that our day-to-day duties might not be like fighting on the battlefield. Maybe for it is, but for others it is not. So whether you are on the battlefield, or whether you are working in the office, or whether you are a professor, or a civil servant, or anything it may be, whatever the profession may be, we can always engage ourselves in remembering Lord Krishna. So this is the message which Lord Krishna is giving to through Arjuna to all of us. अभ्यास योग युक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना परमं पुरुषं दिव्यं याति पार्थ अनुचिन्तयन्. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in me, in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Parth, is sure to reach me. So again Lord Krishna, again and again Lord Krishna is emphasizing on the importance of remembering him and only considering him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why it is said, he says anuchintan, or constantly thinking of. Then he also says na anya gamina, which means without being deviated, or without thinking that there is someone else whom I should surrender to, or whom I should take shelter of. Only take shelter of Lord Krishna. That is what Lord Krishna is advising, and by doing so we would be able to reach him. Kavim Puranam Anushashitram Anor Aniyam Sam Anusmaredya Sarvasya Dharam Achinta Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conceptions, who is inconceivable, who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. So the important thing which we can grab from this verse is that there are innumerous pastimes of Lord Krishna, and the various forms of Lord Krishna, like Lord Rama, Lord Nrsimha Dev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Jagannath. So he has appeared in all these different incarnations only to enact wonderful pastimes and to give pleasure to the devotees. So in one pastime, Lord Krishna has appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has who himself has incarnated to show how a devotee should be. And in this way he had preached preached about the glorious names of Lord Krishna, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and also the various tenets of bhakti. Then Lord Krishna himself has appeared, and through his very wonderful pastimes of his childhood, his youth, he has delighted the mind of all kinds of people, of all ages. And thus there are innumerous pastimes on which one can think about, one can read about, and in this way there is ample material for one to meditate upon. So there is no dearth of these actually relishable topics. So it is very easy to meditate upon Supreme Lord if one reads about these pastimes or one hears about these pastimes. प्रयाणकाले मनसाचलेन भक्त्यो युक्त योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणम अवेश्य सम्यक सतम परम पुरुषम उपैति दिव्यम. Who at the time of death fixes his life hair between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here Lord Krishna is instructing about a form of yoga where or it's a form of meditation, and even by this approach one would attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we should understand that to perform any kind of yoga, it is important that we have devotion for the Lord, or devotion for whom we are towards whom we are performing the meditation. So that's why he says Supreme Lord, remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion. Or in the verse itself, Lord Krishna says Bhaktya. So this is the key aspect. So, or in simple terms, that if we know someone, if we have heard about someone, if we know about his characteristics, like how he looks like, what are his likes, what are his dislikes, what is his favorite color, what is the favorite food he likes to eat. So if we know about someone, then it is very easy to think about that person or grow affection for that person. But if we don't know anything, then it's very abstract to constantly meditate upon something. So the bottom line is that we have to know about him, and we have to also be devoted towards him. So that is the essence here we need to grasp. Yad aksharam veda vido vadanti vishanti yad yatayo vitaragaha yad icchanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkar, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. So again, Lord Krishna is, although Lord Krishna had in the previous chapter explained this process of yoga, but Lord Krishna would again briefly explain this to Arjuna. So he says, Sarvadvarani samyamya manoridi nirudhya cha Murdhani adhyatmana pranam asthito yoga dharanam. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life of air at the top of head, one establish himself in yoga. So again, Lord Krishna is giving how this Dhyan Yoga has to be performed. So he just touches briefly on this. Om iti ekaksharam brahma Vyaharan mam anusmaran yaprayati tejan deham sayati paramam gatim. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and quits his body, he will certainly reach to the spiritual planets. So again, Lord Krishna is mentioning that one has to think about Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in that consciousness, in that state of mind, if one quits his body, then he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. So again, the importance is that one practices remembering Lord Krishna throughout his life, and only that would make it possible to remember him at the point of death. Ananyacheta satatam mam smarati nityasa tasyaham sulabha patha nityayuktasya yogina. For one who always remembers me without devotion, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in the devotional service. So Nitya Yuktasya Yogina, so means one who is regularly engaged. He says Ananya Cheta, that means without deviation of mind, and again he says Satata, which means always. So by using all these similar adjectives, Lord Krishna is saying that we have to always be devoted to Lord Krishna. We should always be in the association, we always should take shelter of Lord Krishna, and only when we have this kind of undeviated attention or devotion for Lord Krishna, we would be able to achieve his association or take his shelter. So in this yuga of Kali, it is not it is rather recommended that one take to the process of chanting the names of Lord Krishna, or which is the most potent way. So in various Upanishads, it's mentioned that the chanting the name of Lord Krishna or the Hari or names of Lord Hari is the only possible way in Kali Yuga to get liberation. There is no other way. There is no other way to get liberation in the in this age of Kali Yuga, apart from chanting the names or apart from chanting the Mahamantra, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And aiding this process is the process of hearing the pastimes of Lord Krishna, which are present in ample amount in Srimad Bhagavatam. And when we have that advantage of regularly hearing the pastimes of Lord Krishna, then it would be easier for us to remember the names or to chant the names of Lord Krishna. So as we were discussing few minutes earlier, that when we know about someone, it becomes easier for us to meditate. So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting the names of Lord Krishna, taking Krishna's prasadam, offering a part of one's activity to Lord Krishna, maybe in the form of some service you perform for Lord Krishna by speaking some words of Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam to your kith and kin. So in this way, all your activities are ultimately focused on Lord Krishna. So these are the practical ways of how reading books like Srimad Bhagavatam or chanting the names of Lord. So by following these practical ways, one would be able to easily constantly remember Lord Krishna, and he would be able to achieve Lord Krishna's abode and Lord Krishna's association. So let us try to imbibe these principles as much as possible. And with these words, I will close today's session. Hare Krishna.